Before the microphone, before the stories, before I found my voice, there was pain, silence, and countless moments of doubting myself. I went through days where I felt lost, unseen, and emotionally tired. There were nights I cried quietly, carrying battles I never talked about. Life tested me in ways I never expected, and sometimes I questioned if I was ever strong enough to keep going. But little by little, I realized that every struggle was shaping me. Every heartbreak taught me strength. Every failure taught me resilience. Every lonely moment taught me how to stand on my own. I started rebuilding myself slowly, learning, growing, dreaming again, and believing that my story still had purpose. I discovered that pain can either destroy you or transform you. I choose transformation. This podcast is not just about talking, it's about healing. It's about sharing real emotions, real experiences, and real growth. I created a space for people who feel broken, tired, lost, or unheard because I know what that feels like. And if my voice can remind even one person to keep going, then every struggle I experienced was worth it. This is my journey from pain to purpose, from silence to strength, and this is only the beginning. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Before anything else, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for taking a few moments of your day to listen to my story. This podcast is not about perfection. It's not about pretending that life is always beautiful or easy. This is about reality. This is about growth, healing, becoming someone stronger through every battle life throws to you. And today, before I share anything else in future episodes, I want to talk about my journey, the journey before the podcast. Because before I found my voice, there were many moments where I stayed silent. Before I became strong, there were times I felt completely broken. Before I learned how to inspire others, I first had to learn how to save myself. So if you're listening right now and life feels heavy, if your heart is tired, if you feel lost or alone, I hope these episodes remind you that your story is not over yet. There was a version of me that many people never truly saw. The quiet version, exhausted version, the version that smiled outside but carried so much pain inside. You know, sometimes people only see the strong side of you. They see your achievements, they see your post, they see your smile. But they don't always see the nights you cried yourself to sleep. They don't see the moments you question your worth. They don't see the battles happening inside your mind. And honestly, there were times when I felt emotionally drained. There were moments when I felt like I was trying so hard in life, but nothing seemed to work the way I wanted. Moments when I gave my best to people who never appreciated me. Moments when I stayed strong for everyone else while silently falling apart myself. I know some people can relate to this. That feeling where you're physically present but emotionally exhausted. And sometimes the hardest part of this, you don't even know how to explain what you're feeling anymore. You just wake up tired. You wake up unmotivated. You wake up carrying emotions you cannot even put into words. That was me before. There was a season in my life where I truly felt lost. I didn't know where life was taking me. I didn't know if I was good enough. I didn't know if my dreams would ever happen. And honestly, being lost is one of the scariest feeling in the world. Because when you don't know where you're going, everything feels uncertain. You start comparing yourself to other people. You start questioning our progress. You start wondering why others seems happily while you're struggling just to survive emotionally. I remember asking myself so many questions. Why is life so hard sometimes? Why do I feel alone even when people are around me? Why do I keep getting hurt? And maybe some of you are asking those same questions right now. But one thing I eventually learned is this: being lost does not mean your life is over. Sometimes being lost is actually the beginning of finding yourself. Sometimes God allows confusion before clarity. Sometimes pain comes before purpose. Sometimes breakdowns happen before breakthrough. In every though I didn't understand everything back then, life was slowly preparing for me for growth. Pain changed people, not always in a bad way. Sometimes pain becomes the reason you grow. I experienced disappointments that deeply hurt me. I trusted people who left. I gave love that was never returned the same way. I faced moments when I felt unappreciated and unseen. And little by little, all those experiences started changing me. First, I became quitter. I became more careful. I started protecting my heart more. Eventually, I realized something important. Pain can either make you bitter or make you better. And I didn't want my struggles to destroy me. I wanted them to build me. So instead of letting pain stop me, I slowly turned it into motivation. Every heartbreak became a lesson. Every failure became growth. Every tear became strength. But one of the biggest lessons I learned is this: you cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control who you become because of it. That realization changed my mindset completely. Healing is not instant, and honestly, rebuilding yourself in one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Because healing is not just about moving on, it's about learning how to become okay again after life broke parts of you. There were days I felt motivated. There were also days I wanted to give up. Healing is not a straight line. Sometimes you feel strong one day, then suddenly emotional again the next day. And that's okay. Slowly started rebuilding myself piece by piece. I started focusing on growth. I started learning new things. I started believing that maybe my life still had purpose. I remember myself that small progress is still progress. Even getting out of bed when you're emotionally tired is progress. Even trying again after failure is progress. Even surviving another difficult day is progress. And I wish more people understood that healing takes time. You don't have to rush yourself. You don't have to pretend you're okay when you're not. Growth happens quickly, sometimes. For a long time, I kept many emotions inside me. I stayed silent because I thought nobody would understand. I stayed quiet because I was afraid of being judged. But one day, I realized something powerful. Your voice matters, your story matters, and maybe the very thing you're afraid to share is the same thing someone else needs to hear to survive their own self. That realization inside inspired me. I started experiencing myself more. I started speaking honestly about emotions, struggles, healing, and life. And little by little, I discovered purpose in my pain. That's how this podcast started in my heart, not because I wanted attention, not because I wanted perfection, but because I wanted connection. I wanted people to feel less alone. I wanted people to know that it's okay to struggle sometimes. I wanted people to know they can heal too. One of the most beautiful things in life is this. Sometimes the thing that almost destroyed you becomes the very thing that gives your life meaning. And that exactly that what happened to me. My pain taught me empathy. My struggle taught me resilience. My heartbreaks taught me self-worth. My failures taught me patience. Everything I went through shaped me into who I am becoming today. And honestly, I'm still growing. I'm still healing. I'm still learning. But now, instead of being ashamed of my struggles, I embrace them. Because my scars tell a story of survival. If you're listening right now, I want you to remember this. Your painful season will not last forever. One day, the things you cried about will be proof of how strong you became. One day, your survival will inspire other people too. I want to speak directly to anyone listening who feels tired. Maybe life hasn't been easy lately. Maybe your heart is carrying silent pain. Maybe you feel unmotivated, lost, emotional, exhausted. Please remember this. You are not behind in life. You are not weak for struggling. You are not failing just because healing takes time. Sometimes people are fighting battles nobody knows about. So be patient with yourself. Celebrate small victories. Rest when you need to. Cry if you need to. Start over if you need to. But please don't give up on yourself. The world still needs the person you are becoming. I created this podcast because I know how it feels. I need comfort. I know how it feels to reach for motivation when life feels heavy. I know it feels to carry silent pain while pretending everything is okay. And if my words can help someone rest a little easier, if my story can give someone hope, then this podcast has purpose. This is a safe space for growth, a safe space for healing, a safe space for honesty. No pretending, no perfection, just real story, real emotions, and real conversations about life. Before I end this episode, I want to say this. Thank you for listening to my journey. If you're still here right now, maybe life has been challenging for you too. I hope this episode remind you that difficult seasons do not define your future. Sometimes your darkest moments create your strongest version. And maybe right now you don't fully understand why certain things happen in your life. Maybe you're still hurting. Maybe you're still healing. But trust this your story is still being written. And one day you look back and realize that everything you survived helped shape the person you were meant to become. This is only the beginning of my journey, and maybe this is also the beginning of yours. Thank you for listening, and remember, you may feel broken today, but broken things can still become beautiful again.